what you think you might. I'm going to hit someone, so I've got to change it a little bit. But, I mean, we still have to look at why he threw the shot that hit Owen in the head in the first place. And I don't necessarily think it's him cracking under the pressure of, having all the scouts and stuff. But I'm not sure what it is.
Well, I mean, the scouts weren't even there at that point. I think it might.
They were there they left right before he hit Owen in the head.
Yeah, but
Yeah, they did. They were there for the first half of that game.
Do you think it's just it's probably not even him cracking under the pressure because he hit all of these amazing throws while they were scouts there, and then all of a sudden. Do
you
think he just peaked too early and now...
No, I think that's possible, but I feel like with anything, particularly athletes, but with anything, you have this sort of, he has this a lot of why he does well at it is because he believes he's really good at it. He is really good at it because he thinks he's really good at it, so he's really confident about it. And I think whatever caused that throw to go off course, and I don't know what it was. Maybe he just snapped, I don't know. But whatever caused that to happen really rocked that confidence. And whether he's aware of it or not, I think he's sort of reverting to a period before he was big man on campus. Before he went to West-ish, he was a really good high school baseball player, but he wasn't noticeable. People didn't see him that often, and I think he's sort of going back to that point before when he wasn't so sure of himself.
Well, no, I don't think it's that because, even it said when he was playing Little League, he was really small, so his coaches would always put him at second base or right field, and he would just, no matter what they said, he would go to shortstop, and, however stubborn the coach was, eventually he would end up playing shortstop because he was good enough to do it. And, he always had that confidence, and he always, knew he could be a good player and do that. So, I don't think it's that he's reverting back to how he was before. I think it's just that he's shaken because he probably didn't even know that it was possible for him to make an error. Because, he'd gone 50-something games in college without ever making an error. And he'd gone years of his life without ever making an error. So now that he's made this error, he's probably thinking that, oh my god, it's now totally possible for me to make all of these other errors because
it's a whole new universe.
Possible.
Yeah. Well, he did talk about how he'd always known that he could be a great shortstop, but he was he knew he wasn't there yet. He's talking about Aparicio and how he wanted to be as good a ball player as that. And in college, he thought he'd reached that point. And then he hits Owen really hard in the head, and he's like...
So, whenever you're ready, you may move into silent reading and get a head start on tonight's homework.
We are so not
ready.
No.
I think Hannah Doll dropped her phone over
At
there.
this point, you're free to separate.
So she's not even in this class. Will you grab that?
This is mine.
Oh, is that yours?
Yeah, it was in my pocket. It was bugging.
Okay.
Anybody else have something they would like to say?
My quotes and see what they were.
And, the other thing about that throw is that, it could have been the wind to some extent, except, they said it couldn't have been the wind that blew it off course that much, and it couldn't have just been a bad throw, a slip of the finger that blew it off course that much. So I think it was probably just, some random thing that didn't... he'd never made a bad throw before, so... this one slip of his finger was really, really unlikely. And,
Probably
even
some
multiplied
combination
with
thereof wind and slip of the finger.
I think it was almost like a freak accident.
Yeah. Well, and the fact that it happened to Owen is really telling too, the way that would feel to Henry, because Owen is, he's lived with him for years, and I think he's a little bit protective of him because Owen is not your traditional athlete. And then
he reads in the dugout.
He reads in the dugout, and then he goes and knocks him out. And I think that probably he probably feels so guilty for that.
And the reason, why do you think he made those other errors? Was it just because he was shaken by the Owen thing and didn't want it to happen again, or was it because he knew he could make errors now, so just...
So it says in here, and right after he hits Owen in the head, and he's talking about Owen looking at him and like his eyes asking why. And he says, you know, maybe he'd mess up again. That's why he didn't ask why. Why could only mess you up, but he'd be fine in the morning as long as Owen was okay. So all this is like all of a sudden his confidence was shaken, and now he's all like maybe he'd mess up again, and that's never really something he'd considered before.
That wasn't a possibility. Yeah.
As much. Like, I think it was like one of those things where you're like, yeah, I recognize it as a possibility, but not really.
And do you think the fact that he was tying and beating Aparicio's record had anything to do with his sudden loss of confidence? But
I think that could have something to do with it. I mean, he'd gotten, like, he had reached the level of his biggest hero.
His idol.
And I don't think he was ready for that. I don't think he is ready to be in that place, because he always felt like, oh, there's always this stuff I need to work on, and I'm not good enough yet. And so I think once he wasn't ready to, like, actually be good enough.
Yeah, it's like he'd spent his whole life like, these are my goals, I want to work towards this, and then suddenly he's like, what, 20? And he's reached that point.
he's
and
not
suddenly,
even 20, isn't he? He's like
and
19.
I mean, he's really young, whatever.
Yeah.
And suddenly he doesn't have that anymore. What do you think, Marissa? What do you think?
About like tying Aparicio's record and whether or not that had